In the heart of a forgotten neighborhood stood a small, weathered building, its paint peeling and windows clouded with dust. Inside one of its modest rooms lived a girl whose laughter once echoed through the halls, now silenced by the weight of solitude. The room was sparsely furnished. A worn-out mattress lay in one corner. A wooden chair sat near the window, and a single light bulb flickered overhead, casting dim shadows on the walls. As the girl sat on her mattress, she gazed out of the window at the world beyond. The streets were alive with the sounds of children playing and neighbors chatting, but all she could feel was the cold touch of isolation wrapping around her like a heavy blanket. She longed to be part of their laughter, to feel the warmth of friendship. Yet the walls she had built around herself felt impenetrable. Every day began the same way. A soft rustle of the morning breeze would coax her out of bed. She'd brush her hair, its long strands tangled like her thoughts, and slip into a faded sweater that smelled faintly of lavender, her mother's scent. The girl would then move to the chair by the window, clutching a cup of tea, her only companion. The steam curled upwards, mingling with her dreams of connection and camaraderie, but reality always pulled her back. The days blended into one another, each filled with the same routine. She would read books filled with adventures and laughter, often escaping into the stories of others while her own life felt like an unturned page. Occasionally, she would catch her reflection in the dusty mirror, a fleeting reminder of who she used to be. Eyes once bright with curiosity were now clouded with uncertainty, mirroring the emptiness of her room. One particularly quiet afternoon, a strange sound broke the monotony. A faint knock echoed from the door. Her heart raced as she hesitated, contemplating whether to answer it. Visitors were rare, and the thought of facing the outside world sent shivers down her spine. But curiosity nagged at her, a gentle push against the walls she had constructed. Gathering her courage, she approached the door, her footsteps echoing in the silence. With each step, she felt a flicker of hope, a whisper that perhaps, just perhaps, someone out there might understand her loneliness. Taking a deep breath, she turned the knob, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. As she opened the door, she was met with the unexpected sight of an empty hallway, the faint sound of laughter drifting in from afar. Disappointment washed over her like a cold wave. Had she imagined it all? She stepped back into her room, closing the door softly behind her. The weight of solitude settled once again, heavy and unyielding. Little did she know, the world outside was about to change in ways she never expected. Days turned into weeks, and the seasons began to shift outside her window, yet the girl remained a prisoner of her own making. The knock on her door haunted her thoughts, a ghost of what could have been. She spent her mornings lost in books, but the stories felt increasingly distant. Each tale of friendship only deepened her longing for connection, reminding her of the laughter she had forsaken. One gray morning, as raindrops pattered softly against the glass, she noticed a figure standing outside her window. Curiosity piqued. She moved closer, wiping the condensation from the pane. A girl, slightly younger than her, danced in the rain, twirling with abandon as if the world were her stage. Her laughter was infectious, ringing out like bells in the stillness. Envy and admiration swirled within her. The girl's carefree spirit ignited something deep inside, a dormant spark yearning to be reignited. The sight pulled at the strings of her heart, nudging her toward the window. For the first time in ages she felt a pull toward the outside world. After a moment's hesitation, she grabbed her worn raincoat, the fabric thin but familiar, and opened the door. The air was thick with the scent of wet earth and blooming flowers, invigorating her senses. She stepped outside, hesitating on the threshold, her heart racing as she made her way to the edge of her porch. The girl in the rain spotted her, eyes sparkling with mischief. "Come on. It's perfect," she called, beckoning with a hand stained from playing in the mud. Without thinking, the girl stepped down into the puddles, the cool water splashing against her legs, washing away some of the heaviness that had clung to her. Join me!" the girl shouted, her laughter ringing out like music. It felt strange, yet liberating to be invited into someone else's joy. The girl took a deep breath and leapt into the puddle, the water erupting around her like tiny explosions. The sensation was new, refreshing, as if the rain were cleansing her of her doubts. They began to dance together, swirling in the rain, their laughter intertwining as they spun beneath the gray sky. The girl felt a warmth spreading through her chest, a sensation she had almost forgotten belonging. She was no longer an observer. She was part of this moment, this connection. As the rain continued to fall, they shared snippets of their lives, their hopes and dreams, with every word weaving a fragile bond between them. The girl learned that the dancer's name was Maya, and she lived just down the street. "I see you watching from your window sometimes," Maya said, a playful smile lighting her face. "You should come out more often." The girl felt her cheeks flush with warmth. I didn't know how," she admitted, the words spilling out before she could catch them. But in that moment of vulnerability, she felt a flicker of strength. As the rain slowed, they stood together, breathless and soaked, yet filled with a newfound energy. Maya turned to her, eyes sparkling with excitement. "What do you say we make this a regular thing? You could join me every week." The girl nodded, her heart racing with the thrill of possibility. She could almost see the walls around her beginning to crumble, each moment spent with Maya promising a little more light in her life. As they said their goodbyes, the girl felt lighter than she had in years, a gentle whisper of hope tugging at her heart, urging her forward into this new chapter. In the days that followed, the girl eagerly anticipated her weekly meetings with Maya. Each encounter breathed life into her dormant spirit, slowly chipping away at the shell she had built around herself. They explored the neighborhood together, discovering hidden corners and forgotten paths, sharing stories that sparked laughter and understanding. One sunny afternoon, they found themselves in a local park, surrounded by blossoming flowers and the sounds of children playing nearby. The girl watched Maya as she chased after a butterfly, her laughter echoing through the air like a melody. The girl felt a twinge of envy but quickly silenced it. Maya was a burst of light, a whirlwind of energy that drew everyone in. "Maya, how do you do it?" the girl asked, catching her breath as she joined her friend under a blooming cherry tree. "How do you stay so happy?" Maya paused, her expression shifting to one of contemplation. "It's not always easy," she admitted. "Sometimes I feel sad too. But I find joy in the little things like this moment, or the rain, or even the way the sun shines through the trees. You just have to look for it." The girl pondered this, realizing how long it had been since she had actively searched for joy. Her world had been monochrome, confined to the walls of her home, and she had forgotten the vibrancy that lay just beyond. Maya reached for her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. "Let's make a promise to always look for the beauty in our lives, no matter how small. It'll make things a lot brighter." The girl smiled, feeling the warmth of her friend's words settle within her. "Okay, I promise." As the weeks rolled by, the girl began to notice the colors of her world shift. The greens of the leaves seemed brighter, the sounds of laughter echoed with a new resonance, and the sunsets painted the sky with colors she had long forgotten. Each moment spent with Maya became a reminder of the beauty she had been missing, a welcome awakening of her senses. One Saturday, they decided to visit a nearby flower market, the air rich with the scent of blooming blossoms. The girl watched as Maya picked up a vibrant sunflower, its golden petals radiating warmth. "This one reminds me of you," Maya said with a playful grin. "It's bright, happy, and impossible to ignore." The girl laughed, feeling a surge of warmth at the compliment. "And what about you?" she countered, picking up a delicate lavender flower. "This suits you perfectly. It's calming and beautiful." Maya beamed, and together they wandered through the market, filling their arms with flowers and laughter. Each bloom felt like a symbol of their growing friendship, an embodiment of the joy they were cultivating together. Later, as they sat on a bench surrounded by the vibrant colors of their flowers, the girl realized something profound. She was no longer just a girl hiding behind closed doors. She was becoming someone new, someone who embraced life with open arms. And for the first time in what felt like forever, she began to believe that the future held promise, a possibility that life could be rich and full, filled with friendships and laughter. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, she knew she was ready to step fully into the light. Just when it seemed that the girl's world was bursting with color, an unexpected shadow loomed over her newfound joy. One afternoon, as she prepared to meet Maya for their usual outing, her mother's voice broke through her excitement. "Sweetheart, I need to talk to you." The girl's heart sank. Her mother rarely interrupted her plans unless it was serious. With a sense of dread swirling in her stomach, she turned to face her mother, who stood in the doorway, her expression serious. "It's about school," her mother began, her voice heavy with concern. "I received a call from your teachers today. They're worried about your progress. They want to set up a meeting to discuss your grades." The girl felt a wave of panic crash over her. "But I'm trying. I'm doing my best," she protested, her voice cracking. "I know, honey," her mother replied gently. "But your best might not be enough right now. We need to figure out how to help you. I just want what's best for you." The girl felt the warmth of her earlier happiness fade, replaced by the familiar wave of disappointment. She had worked so hard to come out of her shell, and now it felt as though the walls were closing in once more. Despite her mother's soothing words, the girl couldn't shake the feeling that her progress was crumbling beneath her. When she met Maya that afternoon, the vibrancy of the park seemed muted, as if the colors had faded into a dull gray. "Hey, are you okay?" Maya asked, her voice laced with concern. "You seem a little off today." The girl forced a smile, but it felt brittle. "I'm fine, just, school stuff." She looked away, unable to meet her friend's gaze. Maya frowned, sensing the shift in her friend's energy. "You can talk to me, What's going on?" Taking a deep breath, the girl revealed the news about her grades and the upcoming meeting with her teachers. As she spoke, the words tumbled out like stones, heavy and burdensome. "Maybe I'm just not cut out for this," she admitted, feeling tears prick at the corners of her eyes. "I thought I was making progress, but now it all feels pointless." Maya listened intently, her eyes wide with empathy. "But you're not alone in this. I'll be here every step of the way. We can study together, or I can help you with your homework. We'll figure it out." The girl felt a flicker of hope at her friend's words, but quickly extinguished it. What if it's not enough? What if I fail? Maya reached for her hand, squeezing it tightly. "Failure is just a step toward success. It doesn't define you. Remember the flowers we picked? They didn't bloom overnight. They had to push through the dirt first." The girl looked at her friend, her heart swelling with gratitude. Maya's unwavering support was a lifeline in her turbulent sea of emotions. As they sat together in silence, the girl felt the weight of her fears begin to lift, even if just a little. She realized that while setbacks were a part of life, they didn't have to derail her journey. With Maya by her side, she felt a renewed sense of determination to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the park, the girl took a deep breath. She was ready to confront her fears, one step at a time. The day of the meeting arrived, casting a shadow over the girl's usually vibrant spirit. She sat at the kitchen table, tapping her fingers nervously against the wood, a feeling of dread pooling in her stomach. Her mother entered, a reassuring smile on her face. "Are you ready?" she asked gently, but the girl could only nod in response, her heart racing in anticipation. As they drove to the school, the girl felt the world outside blur into a haze of colors, each street sign and tree blending together in her mind. What if her teachers were disappointed in her? What if they thought she wasn't trying hard enough? The questions spiraled, tightening their grip around her heart. Arriving at the school, they walked through the familiar hallways that had once been a source of comfort, now feeling like a maze of uncertainty. The girls' palms were clammy as they approached the classroom where the meeting was to be held. Her mother squeezed her hand, and for a moment, the girl found solace in that small gesture. Inside, her teachers greeted them with warm but concerned smiles. The girl's English teacher, Mrs. Rivera, spoke first, her voice soothing. "We're glad you could make it. We just want to have an open conversation about how we can support you moving forward." The girl swallowed hard, her throat dry. The room felt stifling, the air heavy with expectations. She nodded, bracing herself for what was to come. Mrs. Rivera began to outline the areas where the girl was struggling, each point landing like a stone in her heart. "We've noticed some challenges with your reading comprehension. And while your creativity shines through in your writing, it's important to focus on the fundamentals as well." The girl felt her cheeks flush. She wanted to defend herself, to explain how she had been working hard and how much she cared. But the words caught in her throat, replaced by a familiar wave of embarrassment. Her math teacher, Mr. Thompson, chimed in. "We believe that with the right tools and support, you can improve. It's important to remember that learning is a process, and it's okay to ask for help." With her teacher speaking kindly, the girl felt a flicker of hope amidst her anxiety. Maybe this meeting wasn't just about pointing out her shortcomings, but about finding a way forward. Her mother turned to her, eyes filled with encouragement. "You're not in this alone, sweetheart. We're all here to help you succeed. Just share your thoughts. Your feelings are valid." Taking a deep breath, the girl finally spoke up. "I've been trying really hard, but sometimes I just feel overwhelmed. I don't know how to ask for help without feeling like I'm failing." Mrs. Rivera leaned forward, empathy shining in her eyes. "It's completely normal to feel that way. We all need help at different points in our lives. It's a strength, not a weakness, to reach out." The girl's heart swelled at that acknowledgement. It was a small reassurance, but it mattered. With each word of support, the weight on her shoulders began to lighten. She realized that she had the power to ask for help, and that she wasn't alone in her struggles. As the meeting progressed, the conversation shifted toward solutions. Together, they devised a plan that included additional tutoring sessions, study groups, and resources to help her manage her workload. By the time the meeting concluded, the girl felt a sense of relief wash over her. The path ahead still seemed daunting, but with her mother and teachers by her side, she was no longer standing at the edge of an abyss alone. She was ready to take the next step. Walking out of the school, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges were still there, but now they felt like mountains she could climb with the right support. As they drove home, the sun broke through the clouds, bathing the world in golden light, reflecting her own blossoming hope. In the following days, the girl's newfound determination began to transform her approach to school. The meetings with her teachers had provided not just a plan, but a sense of partnership in her educational journey. Each day was still a challenge, but she felt equipped to face it head-on. One afternoon, she sat at her desk, preparing for her first tutoring session with Mrs. Jacobs, a kind-hearted older woman with graying hair and a warm smile that seemed to light up the room. The girl had heard from her teachers that Mrs. Jacobs had a unique ability to make complex subjects easier to understand. As the clock ticked closer to the appointed hour, her excitement mingled with a nervous flutter in her stomach. When the doorbell rang, the girl's heart raced. Her mother ushered Mrs. Jacobs in, and the girl felt a wave of comfort wash over her as she entered. The tutor carried a bright yellow bag filled with books, colorful markers, and various learning tools that promised to make their time together enjoyable. "Hello there. I'm so excited to meet you," Mrs. Jacobs said, her voice a gentle melody that immediately eased the girl's anxiety. "Are you ready to dive into some learning?" The girl nodded, a shy smile creeping onto her face. As they settled at the kitchen table, the tutor's warmth created a space where the girl felt safe to share her worries and uncertainties. Mrs. Jacobs began with a simple assessment to gauge the girl's current understanding of reading comprehension. As they flipped through a short story together, the tutor encouraged her to express her thoughts and feelings about the characters and events. "What do you think this character is feeling right now?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with genuine interest. To her surprise, the girl found herself sharing her interpretations, speaking more confidently than she expected. With each question, Mrs. Jacobs guided her deeper into the story, unlocking connections and meanings that had once eluded her. The girl realized that literature could be an adventure rather than a chore, each page filled with lessons and experiences waiting to be uncovered. As the session progressed, they moved on to math. The girl had always struggled with numbers, but Mrs. Jacobs used visual aids and engaging games to make concepts tangible. They played a math card game where each correct answer allowed the girl to advance on a colorful board. Laughter filled the air as she began to grasp ideas that had previously felt insurmountable. "See? Learning can be fun," Mrs. Jacobs exclaimed, her eyes twinkling. "It's all about finding the right way to connect with the material." With each passing session, the girl found herself thriving under Mrs. Jacobs' guidance. The weight of her previous struggle started to lift, replaced by a growing confidence. She began to realize that it was okay to ask questions, and that uncertainty was merely a stepping stone to understanding. By the end of the week, the girl felt a sense of accomplishment she hadn't experienced in a long time. Each tutoring session became a highlight of her day, a beacon of hope illuminating her path. After one particularly successful session, as they reviewed what they had learned, the girl looked up at Mrs. Jacobs, gratitude shining in her eyes. "Thank you for helping me. I never thought I could feel this way about school." Mrs. Jacobs smiled warmly. "It's a joy to watch you grow. Remember, learning is a journey and you're doing wonderfully." As she closed the door behind her, the girl's heart swelled with hope. For the first time, she saw herself not just as a student struggling to keep up, but as a learner capable of tackling challenges with resilience. She was ready to embrace the adventure ahead. As the weeks passed, the girl's confidence blossomed alongside her academic progress. With each tutoring session, she became more engaged in her schoolwork and began to take part in classroom discussions. Her teachers noticed the change and encouraged her to join after-school activities, sparking a curiosity in her that she had long buried. One sunny afternoon, an announcement echoed through the school hallways. Auditions for the annual school play were just around the corner. The moment the girl heard the words, her heart raced. She had always admired the school of performances, but had never dared to imagine herself on stage. The thought of performing in front of an audience filled her with both excitement and terror. Back at home, she mulled over the idea. Her mother, noticing the thoughtful expression on her face, asked, "What's on your mind, sweetheart?" "I heard about the school play," the girl replied hesitantly. "But I don't know if I could actually try out." Her mother smiled encouragingly. "You've come so far, my dear. Why not give it a shot? You might surprise yourself." After a long internal debate, the girl decided to audition. With Mrs. Jacobs' encouragement ringing in her ears, she summoned her courage and prepared for the audition. In her heart, she knew this could be an opportunity to express herself and perhaps step outside her comfort zone. On the day of the auditions, the school auditorium buzzed with energy. Students gathered in clusters, some nervously rehearsing lines, while others were animatedly discussing their favorite characters. The girl felt a flutter of anxiety, but also a spark of determination. She took a deep breath and reminded herself of the support she had from Mrs. Jacobs and her mother. When her turn came, she stepped onto the stage, her heart pounding like a drum. The bright lights shone down on her, momentarily blinding her. But as she began to recite her lines, something magical happened. The words flowed from her lips, and she immersed herself in the character's emotions. With each sentence, she shed her inhibitions and embraced the role, allowing her creativity to soar. When she finished, a wave of relief washed over her. She had done it. As she stepped off the stage, the applause from her peers felt like a warm embrace. The thrill of performance was intoxicating, and she found herself smiling, excitement bubbling within her. Days later, the cast list was posted, and the girl stood before it, heart racing. Her name was there, she had been cast in a supporting role. Joy surged through her, and she couldn't help but bounce on her feet. This was not just a chance to act. It was an opportunity to bond with her classmates and create memories that would last a lifetime. Rehearsals began, and as the girl spent more time with her fellow cast members, she found a new sense of belonging. They laughed, exchanged stories, and encouraged each other. No longer feeling like an outsider, she began to forge friendships that made school a brighter place. As the curtain rose on opening night, the girl felt a mix of nerves and exhilaration. She stood backstage, the sounds of the audience buzzing in her ears. In that moment, she realized how far she had come from a shy, unsure girl to a confident performer ready to share her passion with the world. The spotlight hit her as she stepped onto the stage, and she beamed at the audience, ready to bring her character to life. This was not just a performance. It was a celebration of her journey, a testament to her growth, and a reminder that with courage and support, she could overcome her fears. As the curtains drew back, the girl felt a rush of adrenaline that coursed through her veins like wildfire. The audience sat in rapt attention, their faces illuminated by the warm glow of the stage lights. For a moment, everything else faded away, the nerves, the doubts, and the weight of expectations. All that mattered was the character she embodied and the story she was about to tell. The scene unfolded flawlessly. Her lines flowed effortlessly, and she reveled in the rhythm of the dialogue. Each interaction with her fellow cast members felt genuine and electric. The audience responded with laughter and applause, and each burst of sound only fueled her energy. The girl realized that performing wasn't just about reciting lines. It was about connecting with people, evoking emotions, and creating a shared experience. As the play progressed, she found herself lost in the moment, her heart racing with each emotional arc. During a poignant scene, she delivered a heartfelt monologue that brought silence over the crowd. The weight of her words hung in the air, and she could see the audience hanging on to every syllable, their expressions a blend of empathy and understanding. In that instant, she felt a powerful connection to them, as if they were all part of the same story. When the final curtain fell, thunderous applause erupted, shaking the auditorium walls. The girl stood center stage, her heart swelling with pride and joy. This moment was a culmination of her journey, each challenge, each moment of doubt, and every ounce of courage she had summoned along the way. Backstage, the excitement was palpable. Cast members embraced each other, their laughter mingling with shouts of congratulations. The girl felt a sense of belonging, surrounded by peers who had shared this incredible experience with her. She realized that this was more than just a play. It was a testament to the bonds they had formed. After the final performance, the school organized a celebration for the cast and crew. The girl found herself mingling with students she had once perceived as distant. They shared stories, discussed their favorite moments from the play, and even exchanged contact information to keep in touch. Each conversation was a reminder of the new friendship she had built, each one adding color to her previously monochrome school life. As she reflected on her journey, the girl couldn't help but think about the support she had received from Mrs. Jacobs and her mother. They had believed in her when she had struggled to believe in herself. Their encouragement had ignited a flame of confidence within her, pushing her to step outside her comfort zone and embrace her passions. In the days following the performance, her teachers noted her renewed enthusiasm in class. She raised her hand more often, her voice steady and assured. The shy girl who once avoided the spotlight had transformed into a confident student, eager to share her thoughts and ideas. One afternoon, while walking home from school, she took a moment to appreciate the world around her. The sun bathed the street in a golden hue, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of hope and excitement about the future. She had discovered a passion for performing, but more importantly, she had unearthed her own strength. With each step, she felt lighter, more at ease in her own skin. The school play had not just been a performance. It had been a powerful reminder that she was capable of overcoming obstacles and embracing her true self. This realization sparked a determination within her to continue pursuing her dreams, whatever they might be. As weeks turned into months, the girl found herself on a path she never anticipated. The excitement from the school play lingered, inspiring her to explore the world of performing arts further. With her newfound confidence, she decided to audition for a local community theater production. The thought both thrilled and terrified her, but she was ready to embrace the challenge. The audition process was different from her previous experience. It was more intense, with seasoned actors and a director who had a reputation for being tough. But rather than feeling intimidated, she felt invigorated. This was an opportunity to grow, to push her limits even further. She prepared diligently, practicing her monologues and refining her character choices. Each rehearsal felt like a step toward discovering more about herself. On the day of the audition, she entered the theater with a mix of excitement and nerves. The smell of fresh paint and polished wood filled the air, and the sight of the stage made her heart race. She watched as other actors showcased their talents, each performance a testament to their passion. When it was her turn, she took a deep breath and stepped into the spotlight. As she delivered her lines, she felt a surge of energy course through her. The audience, composed of directors and casting agents, watched intently, and she could sense their anticipation. This time, she was not just performing. She was sharing a piece of her soul. When she finished, the applause was warm and encouraging. For the first time, she felt truly seen. Days later, she received the call she had been hoping for. She had landed a role in the production. The joy that bubbled within her was overwhelming. This was a new beginning, an opportunity to dive deeper into her passion and connect with others who shared her love for the stage. Rehearsals were demanding yet exhilarating. She found herself immersed in the process, learning the intricacies of her character and forming bonds with fellow actors. The camaraderie reminded her of the friendship she had forged during the school play. But this felt different. It was as if she was part of a family, united by their shared dreams and ambitions. Outside of rehearsal, the girl continued to engage with her studies, finding that her academic performance improved alongside her artistic endeavors. She was more focused, driven by the desire to excel in both areas of her life. Teachers noticed the change. Her contributions in class were insightful, and her passion was contagious. As the opening night of the community theater production approached, she reflected on how far she had come. The once shy girl had transformed into a young woman who pursued her dreams with determination and joy. The journey had not been without its struggles, but each challenge had molded her into someone unafraid to take risks. On the night of the performance, the theater buzzed with energy. Friends, family, and members of the community gathered to support the cast. As she took her place backstage, the familiar mix of nerves and excitement surged within her. She glanced at her fellow actors, each one sharing the same hopeful expressions. Together, they were ready to create magic on stage once more. As the curtain rose and the lights brightened, the girl stepped into her character's world. The cheers and applause from the audience filled her with a sense of belonging. She was no longer the girl who shied away from attention. She was a performer, a storyteller, and an integral part of a community that celebrated creativity. The opening night of the community theater production was a resounding success. The audience erupted in applause as the final curtain fell, and the cast took their bows. The girl stood on stage, heart racing, feeling the warmth of the spotlight on her face. In that moment, she felt a sense of fulfillment and pride that was unmatched. All the hard work, late-night rehearsals, and moments of self-doubt faded away, replaced by a euphoric high. After the show, the theater buzzed with excitement. Cast members hugged and congratulated each other, exchanging stories about their favorite moments during the performance. The girl felt a deep sense of camaraderie among her fellow actors. They had faced challenges together, and now they celebrated their collective triumph. Friends and family surrounded her, their proud smiles and encouraging words filling her with gratitude. But as the euphoria of opening night began to settle, the girl was reminded that the show would eventually come to an end. The excitement of performing could not last forever, and she faced the reality that life would soon return to its normal pace. This thought weighed on her, igniting a mixture of anxiety and longing. What would she do next? How could she continue to pursue her passion? As the weeks progressed, the girl found herself at a crossroads. While the theater production continued, she yearned for more opportunities to express herself creatively. She began to explore different avenues, from workshops to auditions for upcoming productions. Each experience opened her eyes to the vast world of performing arts, beyond the community theater, fueling her desire to dive deeper into her passion. One day, she stumbled upon an audition for a regional youth theater program. The thought of competing against talented performers from across the region was intimidating, but it also ignited a spark of determination within her. She knew this was a chance to expand her horizons, to take her skills to the next level. With unwavering resolve, she decided to audition. As she prepared for the audition, she immersed herself in her studies, balancing her academic responsibilities with her passion for acting. Her commitment to both pursuits fueled her motivation, reminding her that hard work and dedication could lead to incredible opportunities. Late nights were spent memorizing lines and perfecting her monologues, while early mornings were reserved for reviewing class materials. The day of the audition arrived, and the girl felt a whirlwind of emotions. She entered the audition room, greeted by a panel of directors and casting agents, and took a deep breath. This time, she had the confidence of someone who had already overcome significant hurdles. She performed her piece with passion and authenticity, embodying her character fully. When the audition concluded, she felt a sense of relief wash over her. No matter the outcome, she knew she had given it her all. Days later, the results were announced, and when she heard her name called, disbelief washed over her. She had been selected for the program. With this new opportunity, the girl stepped into a new chapter of her life. The program promised not only advanced acting techniques, but also a chance to meet and collaborate with other aspiring performers. She was ready to embrace change, knowing that each experience would help her grow and shape her into the artist she aspired to be. The first day of the regional youth theater program was electric with anticipation. The girl arrived early, her heart pounding in her chest. The auditorium was filled with aspiring actors, each eager to embark on this new journey. As she entered, she felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. These were performers from various backgrounds, each with unique stories to tell and talents to showcase. After a brief introduction from the program director, the participants were divided into groups for their first workshop. The girl found herself with a diverse ensemble, including seasoned actors and newcomers, each contributing their perspectives and experiences. This blend of talent was exhilarating, and it ignited a fire within her. The workshop focused on improvisation, a skill she had always wanted to develop further. As the session unfolded, the girl discovered the power of spontaneity in performance. With each scene they created, she felt her confidence growing. She learned to let go of her inhibitions and trust her instincts, embracing the joy of acting in the moment. The laughter and camaraderie among the group transformed her nerves into excitement. For the first time, she felt part of something bigger than herself, an artistic community where creativity thrived. As weeks passed, the girl immersed herself in the program, dedicating herself to learning and honing her craft. Classes ranged from voice modulation to movement techniques, and she eagerly soaked in every lesson. She found herself spending long hours rehearsing, often late into the night, driven by a newfound sense of purpose. However, not every moment was easy. There were times when she felt overwhelmed, especially during challenging exercises that pushed her beyond her comfort zone. There were days when self-doubt crept in, making her question her abilities. But each time, she was reminded of her journey, the obstacles she had faced, and the passion that drove her. The support from her peers became a lifeline, and together they encouraged one another to push through the tough moments. As the program progressed, the girl became more than just a participant. She blossomed into a leader among her peers. She began organizing group rehearsals and mentoring newer members. The experience of guiding others not only strengthened her own skills, but also deepened her appreciation for the art of collaboration. Amidst the rigorous training, the girl's passion for storytelling grew stronger. She found herself drawn to the emotional depth of characters, understanding the power of vulnerability on stage. Her teachers encouraged her to explore her own stories, to infuse her performances with personal experiences. One afternoon, during a scene study class, the instructor assigned the group a piece that resonated with the girl's own life, a story of loss and resilience. As she prepared for her performance, she channeled her emotions, drawing on her own struggles. When it was her turn to perform, she poured her heart into the scene, revealing layers of vulnerability that left her classmates in awe. This moment became a turning point for her, marking the convergence of her journey of self-discovery with her artistic expression. She realized that her own experiences could not only inform her performances, but also connect her deeply with the audience. The girl felt empowered, understanding that her voice mattered and that storytelling had the ability to inspire change and evoke empathy. As the weeks flew by, the atmosphere in the theater program buzzed with excitement and nerves. The final performance approached, an event that would showcase all the hard work and dedication each participant had poured into their craft. The girl felt a whirlwind of emotions, anticipation, anxiety, and pride. This was not just a culmination of her own efforts, but also a testament to the bond she had formed with her fellow actors. The day of the performance arrived, and the theater was alive with energy. Backstage, the air was thick with the scent of makeup and the sound of laughter mixed with nervous chatter. The girl stood in front of the mirror, applying the final touches to her costume. She caught a glimpse of her reflection, a mix of the character she had become and the girl who had embarked on this journey just a few months prior. This moment marked not only a significant milestone in her artistic development, but also a celebration of her personal growth. As the curtain rose, the girl felt her heart race. The lights illuminated the stage, casting a warm glow over the audience, who eagerly awaited the performance. Each scene unfolded seamlessly, showcasing the diverse talents of her ensemble. The girl took deep breaths, reminding herself of the power of storytelling and the importance of connecting with the audience. When it was her turn to take the stage, she stepped into her character with confidence. The emotion she had channeled during rehearsals flowed through her, and she found herself lost in the story. With each line, she conveyed the character's struggles and triumphs, drawing the audience into her world. The energy from the crowd fueled her performance, igniting her passion and commitment to her craft. The applause that erupted at the end of the first act was deafening, a wave of affirmation washing over her. As she returned backstage, her peers greeted her with cheers and high fives. This sense of camaraderie was palpable, a reminder that they were all in this together, supporting one another through the highs and lows. During intermission, the girl reflected on how far she had come. The challenges she faced, the friendship she built, and the artistic growth she experienced were all part of this incredible journey. She realized that this program had not only shaped her as an actor, but also transformed her as a person. She was no longer just a shy girl. She had blossomed into a confident storyteller with a voice that resonated. The second act began, and the energy in the theater intensified. Each performance felt more vibrant than the last, a testament to the hard work everyone had put in. As the final scene approached, the girl felt a mix of excitement and sadness. She was ready to take her final bow, but she also wanted to hold on to this moment forever. When the curtain fell for the last time, the theater erupted into applause. The girl stood with her castmates, hearts swelling with pride as they took their bows. In that instant, she felt a profound sense of belonging and accomplishment. They had created something beautiful together, and the joy of performance had woven them into a tight-knit family. After the performance, the atmosphere shifted to one of celebration. The cast and crew gathered for a post-show party, laughter and joy filling the air. They shared stories, reminisced about their journey, and celebrated their growth. In that moment, the girl knew she had found her place among these talented individuals, and her passion for acting burned brighter than ever. In the days following the final performance, the girl found herself reflecting on the journey she had undertaken. The theater program had transformed her life in ways she had never imagined. With every rehearsal, every performance, and every bond she formed, she had come to understand not only the art of acting, but also the importance of vulnerability and self-expression. As the school year came to a close, she faced the inevitable transition ahead. Graduation loomed, and with it, the uncertainty of what lay beyond. Many of her friends had already planned their futures, mapping out paths toward colleges and professional careers in the arts. While they celebrated their accomplishments, the girl felt a pang of apprehension. She had discovered her passion for acting, yet she still felt uncertain about taking that next step. One evening, she sat in her room, scrolling through social media. As she watched videos of her peers auditioning for drama schools and sharing their acceptance letters, she felt a mix of admiration and envy. Inspired by their bravery, she decided to reach out to her mentor for guidance. The next day, she met her mentor at a cozy cafe that had become their unofficial meeting spot. As they sipped coffee, the girl shared her feelings of uncertainty about the future. Her mentor listened intently, nodding with understanding. "It's okay to feel lost at times," she said gently. "But remember, passion is a compass. Follow it, and it will lead you to places you never imagined." Encouraged by her mentor's words, the girl began to envision a future filled with possibilities. She realized that acting was not just a hobby. It was a calling that she couldn't ignore. With newfound determination, she decided to pursue acting more seriously. She began researching drama schools, audition techniques, and even began crafting her own monologues. The summer became a whirlwind of activity. She enrolled in a summer acting workshop that focused on honing specific skills, such as voice modulation, character development, and improvisation. Surrounded by like-minded individuals, she felt a surge of inspiration. The workshop helped her refine her technique, but more importantly, it reinforced her belief in her abilities. As the summer progressed, she participated in community theater productions, diving headfirst into roles that challenged her and allowed her to grow. She discovered the joy of collaborating with other passionate actors, learning from their experiences, and sharing her own insights. Each performance felt like a stepping stone toward her dreams, reinforcing her commitment to pursue a career in acting. By the time fall arrived, the girl had gained confidence in her craft and clarity about her goals. She prepared her applications for drama schools, pouring her heart into her personal statements. With each submission, she felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety, knowing that she was taking a significant step toward her future. One crisp evening, as she walked home under a canopy of autumn leaves, she couldn't help but smile at how far she had come. The shy girl who once doubted herself had transformed into a determined young woman, ready to embrace her destiny. With a heart full of hope and a passion for storytelling, she felt prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the crisp autumn air enveloped the girl, she found herself standing before the imposing building of the prestigious drama school. The day had finally arrived for her audition, a moment she had envisioned countless times, yet now felt surreal. Her heart raced as she clutched her portfolio, which contained her monologue, headshots, and personal statement. Each piece represented not just her talent, but also the journey she had undertaken to reach this pivotal moment. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside the bustling lobby filled with other hopefuls, each exuding a mixture of excitement and nerves. The walls were adorned with photographs of past students, some of whom had gone on to achieve remarkable success in the theater world. She felt a pang of anxiety. What if she wasn't good enough? Determined not to dwell on doubt, she found a quiet corner to collect her thoughts. She recited her monologue silently, visualizing the character she had created. It was a story of resilience and triumph, one that resonated deeply within her. As she rehearsed, she could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, transforming her fear into fuel for performance. When her name was called, she took a moment to ground herself. The girl walked into the audition room, where the panel of judges sat, their expressions a mix of professionalism and curiosity. She greeted them warmly, drawing upon the confidence she had cultivated over the summer. "Whenever you're ready," one of the judges prompted, and with that, the world outside faded away. She began her monologue, channeling every emotion she had experienced in her journey. As she delivered the lines, she felt an undeniable connection to the character, as if she were embodying her entirely. The passion poured out, and she could see the judges leaning in, captivated by her performance. When she finished, silence filled the room for a heartbeat, before the panel erupted into applause. The girl's heart soared. She had done it. They asked her a few questions about her process, her inspirations, and what acting meant to her. With each response, she felt more at ease, sharing her story openly and honestly. As she left the audition room, a wave of relief washed over her. Regardless of the outcome, she knew she had given it her all. The experience itself had been transformative, solidifying her love for acting and her belief in her potential. In the days that followed, the girl filled her time with rehearsals for a local production, channeling her energy into the character she portrayed. Each role reminded her of the joy she found in storytelling, and she felt a sense of purpose driving her forward. Then, one afternoon, as she returned home from a rehearsal, she found a letter in her mailbox. Her heart raced as she recognized the return address. Could this be it? With trembling hands, she opened the envelope, her breath caught in her throat as she read the words, "Congratulations! We are pleased to offer you a place in our drama program." A flood of emotions overcame her: joy, disbelief, and gratitude. In that moment, she knew her journey was just beginning. The shy girl who once felt lost had taken bold steps toward her dreams and emerged triumphant. With a bright future ahead, she felt ready to embrace the next chapter of her life. With the acceptance letter in hand, the girl felt as if a new world had opened up before her. She stared at the words, feeling a mix of disbelief and elation. The prestigious drama school had chosen her, a shy girl who had once felt invisible. The reality of her dreams began to take shape, and she could hardly contain her excitement. As the days turned into weeks, she prepared for her move to the city where the school was located. She researched everything she could about the institution, her future classmates, and the vibrant art scene that thrived around it. Each new piece of information only fueled her anticipation, igniting a fire within her to embrace this opportunity fully. Finally, the day of her departure arrived. As she packed her belongings, the girl reflected on how far she had come. The struggles, the moments of doubt, and the laughter shared with her friends, all of it had led her to this very moment. She took one last look around her room, feeling a bittersweet pang of nostalgia. The place where she had once felt so alone now seemed like a haven of memories. The bus ride to the city was filled with excitement and nerves. She watched the scenery change from familiar landscapes to bustling streets and towering buildings. Each passing mile brought her closer to her new life, and she couldn't help but smile at the thought of the adventures that awaited her. Upon her arrival, she was greeted by a whirlwind of activity. The streets buzzed with energy as performers rehearsed on the sidewalks, and artists showcased their talents in galleries. The girl felt a sense of belonging she had never known before. This was her world, and it was exhilarating. On her first day at the drama school, she was greeted by an eclectic mix of students. Some were exuberant and confident, while others were just as timid as she was. It was comforting to know she wasn't alone in her nervousness. They gathered in a large auditorium, where the head of the program welcomed them. He spoke passionately about the transformative power of storytelling, and the importance of embracing vulnerability as actors. As the weeks progressed, she immersed herself in classes, soaking up every lesson like a sponge. From voice and movement to scene study, each course challenged her and pushed her to confront her fears. She found herself surrounded by people who shared her passion, each encouraging her to grow and explore her potential. During her first performance in front of the class, she felt the familiar rush of adrenaline. This time, however, it was accompanied by a newfound sense of confidence. She poured her heart into the character she portrayed, allowing herself to be vulnerable. The applause that followed felt like a validation of her hard work and dedication. Amidst the whirlwind of rehearsals and studies, she began forming friendships that would shape her experience at the school. They shared late-night conversations about dreams, fears, and aspirations. Each bond deepened her sense of belonging and reminded her that she was not alone on this journey. As autumn transitioned into winter, the girl embraced the changes around her, both in nature and within herself. She was becoming a stronger, more confident individual. With every passing day, she was learning not just about acting, but about herself, her strengths, her vulnerabilities, and her unwavering determination to succeed. As the new semester began, the girl felt a shift within herself. The initial excitement of starting at the drama school began to wane, revealing the harsh reality of her new environment. The once supportive atmosphere felt more competitive than she had anticipated. She watched her classmates effortlessly shine on stage, their performances brimming with confidence. In contrast, she sometimes felt like an imposter, plagued by self-doubt. The intensity of the classes increased, pushing her to confront not only her fears, but also the limitations she had imposed on herself. The instructors were demanding, expecting nothing less than excellence. She often found herself rehearsing lines late into the night, wrestling with her insecurities. The girl would stare at her reflection in the mirror, rehearsing her monologues over and over, but the voice of doubt whispered louder than the applause she had once received. During one particularly challenging scene study class, she was assigned a complex character who struggled with her identity. As the girl delved deeper into the character's psyche, she began to feel a connection that both fascinated and terrified her. Each rehearsal felt like peeling back layers of her own emotions, exposing her vulnerabilities in a way she hadn't anticipated. Despite the emotional toll, she was determined to give it her all. However, the pressure was overwhelming. She found herself sitting in her dorm room late at night, tears streaming down her face, questioning her ability to keep up with her peers. Each tear felt like a release of the weight she carried, yet she feared that her emotional struggles would hinder her growth as an actor. One evening, as she sat alone in the common area, her roommate joined her. Sensing her distress, she encouraged the girl to share her feelings. Reluctantly, the girl opened up about her insecurities and the fear of not being good enough. Her roommate listened attentively, validating her emotions and offering words of comfort. We all have our struggles. Just because it seems easy for others doesn't mean it is. You are capable, and you need to believe that. Those words resonated with the girl. She realized that she wasn't alone in her struggles. Everyone was fighting their battles, each working through their insecurities. The next day in class, she took a deep breath and channeled her emotions into her performance. This time, instead of shying away from vulnerability, she embraced it, letting her character's pain reflect her own. The applause that followed felt different this time. It was more than just recognition. It was a validation of her journey. The struggle had become a part of her narrative, and she found strength in vulnerability. It was a turning point that pushed her to confront her fears head-on. As the winter months progressed, she learned to balance her emotional turmoil with her craft. Each performance became an exploration of herself, a chance to express the feelings she had often kept hidden. The girl began to cultivate resilience, using her struggles to fuel her growth as an artist. The camaraderie among her classmates deepened as they shared their own stories of struggle. Together, they formed a support system, lifting each other up during tough times. With each rehearsal and performance, the girl discovered the beauty in vulnerability, a key ingredient in the art of acting. As winter settled in, the school buzzed with excitement about an upcoming showcase, a chance for students to perform in front of industry, professionals and theater enthusiasts. The girl felt a mix of anticipation and dread. This showcase represented a crucial opportunity, but it also magnified her fears of inadequacy. Her heart raced at the thought of stepping onto that stage, the spotlight illuminating her every flaw. In the weeks leading up to the event, rehearsals became intense. Each student selected a piece that resonated with their journey, and the girl chose a monologue that embodied her struggles and triumphs. The character's transformation mirrored her own, providing a sense of catharsis. However, with every rehearsal, self-doubt crept in, whispering that she wasn't worthy of the spotlight. The week before the showcase, the pressure reached a boiling point. The girl found herself rehearsing in the mirror, her reflection a mix of determination and fear. As she practiced, she often stumbled over her words, frustration mounting with each misstep. It felt as though the universe was testing her resolve, reminding her of the insecurities she had fought so hard to overcome. One evening, during a particularly intense rehearsal, her instructor noticed her struggle. "You need to let go," he advised. "Acting is not just about perfection. It's about connection. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, to feel what your character feels." His words struck a chord deep within her. Perhaps it was time to abandon the relentless pursuit of perfection and focus on authenticity instead. With newfound clarity, she stepped back from the rehearsal space, allowing her emotions to simmer. She took a long walk around the city, soaking in the sights and sounds. The winter air was crisp, refreshing her spirit. She observed the bustling streets, each person carrying their own stories and struggles. For the first time in weeks, she felt a sense of calm wash over her. She understood that everyone faced their own challenges, and she wasn't alone in her journey. The day of the showcase arrived, and the atmosphere was electric. Friends, family, and industry professionals filled the auditorium, their eager chatter echoing through the halls. The girl stood backstage, her heart pounding, yet a quiet determination enveloped her. She remembered her instructor's advice. This was her moment to connect, not just perform. As her name echoed through the auditorium, she stepped into the spotlight. The stage was bathed in warm light, and for a fleeting moment, she felt as if the world had vanished, leaving only her and the character she embodied. With each word, she let her vulnerability shine through, allowing her emotions to guide her performance. The audience was captivated, drawn into the raw honesty of her portrayal. When she finished, a profound silence enveloped the room, before an eruption of applause filled the air. Tears welled in her eyes, not from fear, but from a sense of liberation. The standing ovation was more than applause. It was a celebration of her journey, her struggles, and her triumphs. Backstage, her classmates embraced her, their faces beaming with pride. The girl felt a sense of belonging, a connection forged through shared experiences. She realized that this moment was not just about her success. It was a testament to the strength they all found in each other. As the night unfolded, the girl felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She had unveiled a new horizon, one filled with possibilities and a deeper understanding of her craft. With every step she took, she felt more at home in her own skin, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. The buzz of the showcase lingered in the air long after the curtains had closed. The girl walked home that night, her heart still racing from the adrenaline of her performance. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she was truly part of something bigger, like she was part of a community that understood her. As days turned into weeks, the aftermath of the showcase began to unfold. Her performance had garnered attention, and soon she found herself receiving invitations to auditions and workshops. It was exhilarating and overwhelming all at once. Each opportunity felt like a door opening, revealing paths she had only dreamed of walking. Yet, with excitement came anxiety. The girl wrestled with the fear of being cast aside, of her moment in the spotlight fading into the background. The voices of self-doubt returned, whispering insidiously that she might not be good enough to seize these opportunities. To combat this, she leaned on her classmates, forging deeper friendships with those who had shared the stage with her. Their shared experiences created a bond that felt unbreakable, offering her support and encouragement when she needed it most. One evening, while sitting in their favorite cafe, her friend from the class turned to her. "You know, I really think you should go for that workshop. You have a talent that shouldn't go unnoticed," he encouraged, sipping his coffee with a warm smile. She felt a rush of gratitude for the encouragement, which gave her the courage to pursue the workshop. The next day, she signed up, her fingers trembling as she clicked the submit button. It felt like a leap of faith into the unknown. Soon, she received the confirmation email, and excitement bubbled within her. The workshop was set to begin in a few weeks, and she was determined to make the most of it. As the workshop approached, she immersed herself in her craft. She read plays, practiced monologues, and attended other performances to gain inspiration. Each evening was spent in front of her mirror, experimenting with different emotions and characters. She was reminded of her instructor's words about vulnerability and connection, and she sought to incorporate that into her preparations. Finally, the day of the workshop arrived. The energy in the room was palpable as participants gathered, each one eager to learn and grow. The instructor was a well-respected figure in the industry, known for pushing boundaries and encouraging authenticity. As he began the session, the girl felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Would she be able to keep up? Throughout the workshop, she encountered various exercises designed to stretch her boundaries. Each task challenged her to dig deeper into her emotions and embrace the messy, unpredictable nature of acting. With every exercise, she felt herself shedding layers of self-doubt, emerging more confident and self-assured. As the workshop progressed, she found herself forming connections with fellow participants. They shared stories, vulnerabilities, and dreams, creating a safe space where everyone felt free to express themselves. The girl realized that she wasn't alone in her struggles. Each person carried their own burdens, but together they lifted each other. By the end of the workshop, the girl felt transformed. She had grown not only as an actress but as an individual. The experience ignited a newfound passion within her, and she left with a heart full of inspiration and a mind brimming with ideas. With the workshop behind her, she returned to her life, determined to continue pursuing her dreams. As she walked down the bustling streets of the city, she felt a sense of belonging and purpose, ready to embrace the opportunities that lay ahead. In the weeks that followed the workshop, the girl found herself riding a wave of momentum. The experience had reignited her passion for acting, and she was eager to channel that energy into her next steps. She spent her days auditioning for local productions, each experience adding to her growing confidence. Her first audition after the workshop was for a community theater play. As she entered the bustling room filled with hopeful actors, the familiar pangs of anxiety crept in. Yet, she reminded herself of the supportive atmosphere from the workshop. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, ready to showcase her talent. The casting director watched intently as she performed her monologue, and with every word, she poured her heart into the character, embodying the emotions that once felt so distant. When she finished, the room was silent for a moment, that felt eternal. Then, the casting director smiled, nodding appreciatively. "Thank you," he said, and she felt a surge of exhilaration at the acknowledgement. Although she didn't land the role, the experience was liberating. Each audition taught her something new, and she became more adept at handling rejection. Instead of viewing it as a failure, she learned to see it as an opportunity for growth. With each closed door, she felt herself inching closer to the right role that would resonate with her spirit. One evening, as she sat on her bed surrounded by scripts, her phone buzzed with a notification. It was a message from her friend, inviting her to a special performance happening that weekend. The play was a contemporary piece, and they were eager to attend. With excitement bubbling inside her, she quickly replied, thrilled at the prospect of supporting her friends while immersing herself in the world of theater once again. When the night of the performance arrived, she felt a rush of excitement as she entered the theater with her friend. The air was charged with anticipation, and the dim lights created an intimate atmosphere. They settled into their seats, their chatter buzzing with energy. As the lights dimmed and the curtain rose, she was transported into a world of storytelling, captivated by the talent of the actors on stage. As the performance unfolded, she found herself reflecting on her own journey. The raw emotions conveyed by the actors resonated deeply within her. It was a reminder of why she fell in love with acting in the first place, the ability to connect with others through shared experiences, laughter, and tears. During intermission, she and her friend chatted about their aspirations, dreams, and fears. The conversation flowed naturally, and she felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for having someone who understood her passions. As they watched the second act unfold, she was filled with inspiration, knowing that one day she would be up there on that stage, sharing her own stories. After the show, they joined other audience members in congratulating the cast. The girl felt a sense of camaraderie as they shared their admiration for the performances. In that moment, she realized that this community of artists was where she truly belonged, a place where they lifted each other up, shared their dreams, and celebrated their victories together. Leaving the theater that night, the girl felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was determined to keep pursuing her dreams and to embrace every opportunity that came her way. She understood that the journey ahead might be challenging, but with the support of her friends and newfound confidence, she was ready to face whatever lay ahead. As the sun began to rise on a crisp morning, the girl awoke with an exhilarating sense of anticipation. Today was the day of the big audition she had been preparing for, an opportunity to land a role at a prestigious local theater production. The energy in her home felt different. It crackled with possibility. She could almost hear the applause echoing in her mind, the thrill of standing under the spotlight finally within reach. After a quick breakfast, she donned her favorite outfit, a vibrant dress that made her feel confident and alive. Standing in front of the mirror, she practiced her monologue, the words rolling off her tongue like a well-rehearsed song. Each time she spoke, she imagined herself on stage, feeling the audience's gaze and the warmth of their applause washing over her. This was it. This was her moment. Arriving at the theater, she was greeted by the bustling atmosphere of hopeful actors and production staff. The sound of laughter and conversations filled the air, mingling with the unmistakable scent of freshly painted sets. She took a deep breath, allowing the excitement to envelop her. Her heart raced, but she was determined to stay grounded. As she waited for her turn, she observed her fellow actors. Some seemed nervous while others exuded confidence. In those moments, she reminded herself of the supportive network she had built, friends who believed in her, mentors who had guided her, and the experiences that had shaped her. Each person in that room was on their own journey, and she was proud to be among them. Finally, her name was called. She walked onto the stage, her heart pounding in her chest. The casting panel sat before her, their expressions a mix of curiosity and professionalism. She felt a surge of adrenaline as she took her place in the spotlight. "Whenever you're ready," the casting director said with a nod. With a deep breath, she began her performance. As she recited her lines, she poured her soul into the character, drawing from her own experiences and emotions. Each word resonated with truth, and she felt a connection to the story like never before. She could see the casting panel leaning in, engaged in her portrayal. In that moment, everything else faded away, and it was just her and the character she was embodying. When she finished, the room fell silent once more. This time, however, the silence felt different, charged with anticipation. The casting director smiled, and the others nodded appreciatively. "Thank you for sharing that with us," he said, breaking the stillness. "You brought a unique perspective to the role." As she left the stage, a sense of accomplishment washed over her. No matter the outcome, she had given it her all. In that moment, she understood that the journey was just as important as the destination. Weeks later, the call finally came. The casting director wanted her for the role. As she read the message, tears of joy filled her eyes. All those hours of practice, all the fears she had faced, had led to this moment. With a heart full of gratitude and excitement, she knew that this was just the beginning. She was ready to embrace the challenges ahead, fueled by her passion and the support of her friends. The stage was set, and her journey as an actress had truly begun.